I'm Louise Searles. Amongst many things that I do, including City and Guilds Advisory Council and running a City and Guilds Centre. I also represent the Industry Support Network Educational section, and I'm absolutely delighted to speak to the most amazing, amazing person, Gill Morris. I don't think she needs any introduction. She's been in my life for many, many years in lots of different roles, and I'm absolutely delighted that she's going to be sharing her experience because she's a real influencer of our beauty industry. So, Gill, for those of you that don't know you, please tell us who you are.
Right, thank you so much, Louise. Well, this presentation and discussion with Louise is going to take you through my career, my journey in professional beauty, and I hope you'll find it interesting. But a brief snapshot is I am a beauty therapist. I've worked in business to consumer, i.e. client facing. I've worked business to business from the supply side, and I've also worked in education and training. Well, the first thing I want to say is I don't want any laughing or giggling about fashions, makeup and hairstyles. My career spans 40 years, and I think you're going to see a variety of different looks. So do please see past those. So the beginning of my story. I trained as a beauty therapist full-time at an FE college for 2 years, every day, 9 till 5 for 2 years. No work experience, just college every day. And it was one of the first colleges to do it, and it was quite interesting. We even had French lessons. I'm not quite sure of the value of that, but nevertheless. So you'll notice I use the word health and beauty therapist because back then we weren't just beauty therapists, we were perceived as health and beauty therapists. So after my 2 years, I went to work for a salon, and I would recommend anyone to go and work for a salon before opening your own. Think of it almost as a postgraduate course, postgraduate training, learning from somebody else. I learned so much about how to run a business. I also learned quite a lot about how not to run a business. So if you can, in your career, if you can learn from other people's mistakes, it's so much easier than making them yourself. So if you can, work for somebody else. So I started off as a junior therapist, and then normal therapist, senior therapist. And then as I had a passion for electrolysis, I became a specialist electrologist working for that lady. She gave me a passion for it. So after that, I opened my own salon, and I had that for 10 years. And I got a little bit, not bored, because I love my work and I love my clients, but I just felt there was something a bit more, something missing. So I left the industry for a little while, and I left the industry to go on to do some work in another area of my life that I feel passionate about. And that was selling wine. Now, people who know me might not know this bit, but I did this for 3 years, and it was fabulous. A lot of the skills I learned in beauty helped me with this. I sold to C-level people, board level people at companies. I sold by wine tastings, and I would have my cases of white wine, red wine, a briefcase with some sample glasses in. I would have a conversation with the board or the MD and ask questions, just as you ask questions with clients. What do they want from their wine? When do they want to drink it? What sort of occasions? That sort of thing. And I actually did incredibly well. And I was known as Gill the wine lady, not the whining lady, the wine lady. But after a little while, I did sort of yearn to get back into beauty, and I missed it. And I had always dealt with Ellison's for my supplies. And I went to them, and it was at the time when cash and carries and wholesalers were really predominantly hairdressing, and Ellison's were leading the way in getting into beauty. And I knocked on their door at the right time saying, I think you need me. You need somebody with beauty knowledge to help you with the beauty side. So I returned to the industry, but on the supply side. And this is something you need to realize. Being in professional beauty is not just about being in a salon. And I don't say the word just in any way decrying it, but there are other branches of this fabulous industry and so many opportunities for you. So I got into the supply side, and I was their UK technical sales consultant. And that title came about because although it was sales, we already had a sales manager and sales director there, but I was technical sales. And the thing is, beauty therapists like to buy from knowledgeable people. Beauty therapists like to buy from beauty therapists. So I was taking them through the process when they were buying equipment or furniture or consumables, and I was able to talk their language. So I was technical sales, and I covered the UK. I was with Ellison's for 10 years, and during that time I did marketing qualifications, so I also looked after marketing and PR. And during this time, I influenced quite a lot of people. The industry was quite still, professional beauty industry was still relatively new then. And there was lots going on. And there's a quote here from Susan Routledge that does quite a lot of business training. She had her own successful salon, or has her own successful salon, and has had it for many years. And I put this quote in because it just goes to show the people that you help and support and mentor early on in their career, things go full circle, and she's now doing fantastic work being a business consultant. But I developed new equipment and new products, and I sourced consumables from all over the world that we could then sell. And I'll talk a little bit later about some of the things that I've done. But I've also educated people and trained people at postgraduate or advanced level, so people that are already qualified who want to keep up to date with new things, new trends, new requirements, and it's just the same as today. The moment you're qualified and you're out into the workplace, your knowledge can become out of date, so you need to keep up to date, continuing professional development, postgraduate courses, etc. And I was involved in that. In fact, I was the architect of Ellison's academy back in the late 80s. So some of the things that I got involved in, this is where you'll be laughing, and I told you not to. The top photograph, I'm middle back with the permed hair that we all had in the mid to late 80s, standing next to the very tall blonde lady. And at the bottom is me at a trade show. And it was the first time at a trade show anybody had been there with gel nail extensions. Prior to me sourcing gel nails from America, it was only acrylic nails. So there I was at the old Earl's Court Exhibition Centre. It's been taken down now. And I was there with my gel nails and my UV lamp, and I was doing demonstrations. And a lady walked past, completely puzzled. She had a beauty salon, but she was completely puzzled as to what I was doing. And she said to me, "What on earth are you doing?" So I said, "I'm extending this lady's nails." And she looked at me, and she just, with this frown, and she said, "Why doesn't she just grow them?" And off she walked. So the nail industry today is phenomenal, but back then it was in its infancy. And you'll notice all the badges. We did love badges in those days, and I'm sure you still do. On one side were my beauty badges, and on the other side were my electrolysis badges. So that's me, weighted down by my badges. So the other things, apart from the gel nails that I got involved in, was introducing the blend method of epilation or electrolysis into the UK. Having been to America and seen it over there, I thought, well, we've got to have this. This is fantastic. So I was involved in the equipment of developing the equipment for the UK market, and then selling it, training, supporting people. We had to train and support college lecturers, who in turn could then train their students. I was also involved in advanced electrolysis, which is a red vein skin tag removal, and I did that for quite some time. So let's have a look at the next slide. So just a sort of a bit of an overview, well, I did say I was there for 10 years. So one of the things that I was heavily involved in was being part of college advisory committees. Most colleges, well, all colleges then, and most colleges now, have industry advisory committees. So it's local salon owners, suppliers, etc., that come into the college and give their input to the lecturers and the heads of department to ensure that you learners are getting the most up-to-date information possible, and also what it is that your potential employers are looking for in the future. So that was something I was very proud to have been involved in. I was also involved in this, it was called PACE, P-A-C-E, the Public Awareness Campaign for Electrolysis. And I was involved in TV and radio interviews, etc. We'll see some photos in a moment, but let's just go through. Oh yes, now this photo, I've managed to cut myself off. I don't know how I've managed that. I'm on the left. This is sitting on the sofa on GMTV breakfast television. So this was primetime telly. I was being interviewed. Fortunately, I didn't have to do any demonstrations of electrolysis live on air. We'd already filmed a treatment. We actually did it at Selfridges in London, and I was doing a model's eyebrows, permanent styling of eyebrows, and that was the VT that was used in the interview. Electrolysis is not the sort of treatment you want to be doing when you're in the least bit nervous. So a few more photos here. I'll just get a few more up. So bottom right is me in the studio of UK Living, which was, I think, a Sky production. So that's me on the right, yet another perm. And on the top, it was my office with my sort of PR marketing hat on. So this is before social media, of course, so it was very much the printed word. So during this time, I also took my teacher training qualifications and my assessor qualifications. And after I'd done that, I also did the Chartered Institute of Marketing qualifications. Because of my experience, I was able to go in at advanced marketer level. And then I did the postgraduate course in marketing and became a chartered marketer. That's something I'm very proud of, although doing the 50 hours CPD a year can be a bit of a pain. I also co-wrote my first book at this time, and that's the one top left. So that was a basic electrolysis book, not red veins or the advanced stuff. And there was a need for it because the MBQs had just come out, and it was written specifically with the MBQ layout in mind. And that was great. There was 3 of us. I wrote all the practical stuff. Another colleague did the A&P, and another one did the MBQ specific information. So that was a really great collaboration. So also at this time, towards the end of my time at Ellison's, I became the founding chair of the Beauty Industry Authority. And at that time, there was the Hairdressing Training Board that looked after hairdressing, and there was the Beauty Industry Authority that oversaw beauty. The two were separate, but they joined together to become HABIA, the Hairdressing and Beauty Industry Authority that we know as HABIA. And I think we talk about that a little bit later. Here's some of the, again, fashions are great, but some images from things that I've been involved in. So top left is one of the first exhibitions we ever did. Top right was a networking event, and this was the lunch in the marquee that we had, and we invited our customers. We had a whole day of events and lectures which I arranged, and people really look forward to those. The photo of me, the little square one in the pink jacket, that was actually taken in America. When I was over there doing some publicity work. The one next to it was part of the PACE campaign, and I had my little mini exhibition stand, and I would go to big department stores in the perfumery and cosmetics part and set it up and do demonstrations of electrolysis and show people what it was all about. So it's part of the public awareness campaign for electrolysis. And although that was to do with electrolysis, these sort of awareness campaigns can be applied to virtually anything where you need to get over the awareness and the benefits of something that might be new. Now, obviously, social media has a big impact on that today, but back then we didn't have that. So I needed to put myself in front of the people that we needed to make aware. And along a similar line, the photo alongside in the pink outfit, that was at the Ideal Home exhibition. And we had a big stand. I had a team of trainers that would come and do demonstrations. There was cameras on them, 2 large screens showing the audience exactly what was going on and what was happening. And as often happens in a career in beauty therapy, you have to learn to adapt. And on one particular day, the trainer, bearing in mind we were in London, got stuck in traffic and she was 2 hours late. So I had to do the treatment, but I also had to compare. So if you can imagine, I was doing the treatment with the microphone tucked down my cleavage. So I was doing the treatment, but also trying to talk to the assembled people around. Didn't want to let anybody down. And then bottom left is that photo that we saw from before. And bottom right is a mini exhibition stand, again, for when we launched the sterx blend, the UK blend machine. And we went up and down the country. We had rooms in hotels and invited electrologists to come and have a look, to have a try, and that's how we got the word out. And again, if you launch a new facial machine or something like that, or body machine, you could do a similar thing. So although I'm going back a few years, it's still relevant. Top left, the most awful photo of me in existence. I was born not to show my forehead. I should always have a fringe. So just a few more photos of the sorts of things that we did. The group photos are taken inside and outside the Ellison's Academy. And bottom left is my beauty house that we had at the Ellison's Cash and Carry. And I had a room for each area of the body treated. So I had a facial room, a body room, a hair removal room, and an electrolysis room. So yeah, I had lots of people come to see me. Again, Susan Routledge, that we saw the quote from before, was just one of them. So after 10 years at Ellison's, I went to work for sterx Electrolysis International Limited, and my role there was Director of PR and Training, because I'm unusual in as much as I am technically trained, but I also have a business background with marketing, etc. So hence that title. We had a Student of the Year competition for electrolysis, and the winner would be taken to the American Electrolysis Association's annual convention, obviously in America. So the winner and the winner's tutor got taken to America for an all expenses paid trip, and the second prize was a blend machine and the third prize was a diathermy machine. I also went to all of these Student of the Year competition winners in America, and we had much fun. I don't think we've got any photos there, but I also during my time at sterx had to look after our national and international customers. So we had distributors in 45 countries. So all of our distributors had a sales team, marketing teams, and they needed to have the technical knowledge and needed to be able to share that knowledge with their customers. So I spent quite a lot of time jumping on aeroplanes, traveling around the world, going to see our distributors in various countries. So although there was 45 countries, we may have had 2, 3 or 4 distributors in those countries, particularly the big ones like America and Australia. So I was certainly using planes like buses back then. So there was lots of things going on. Also to international exhibitions, and you can see some of them here. Bottom left, that was one of the exhibitions I went to in Tokyo. Top left, that was actually Glasgow, so that's not that exciting. Middle at the top, that was with a guy called John Farnes, who had a very successful clinic in Los Angeles and did a number of, when I say did, treated a number of Hollywood stars, so that was fascinating. Top right was our distributor from Portugal. Middle right, the Spanish training school, and bottom right was the Spanish owner of our distributors. So again, I had to go and train all their teams, so it was great. And this is what I was saying to you earlier, when I was chair of the BIA. So I oversaw it, joining with the hairdressing training board to become Habia, and I became a founding director of Habia and was a non-exec director for 10 years. So the need to do it my way became too great again. So let's just look a little bit at where I am sort of now. I started my GMT business training and consultancy in 1999. I became a chartered marketeer with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I was invited to become a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, Commerce and Manufacturing, the RSA. And to be invited to be a fellow is actually quite an honour. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. I co-wrote my second and third books. I wrote a fourth book on sales and selling skills for City and Gills, and edited a fifth book on advanced electrolysis for sterx. So writing skills has always been key for me. And I said before that the written word was the main form of promotion back then, but even now with social media, you still have to write content. You still have to write copy. So the ability to get what's here down into the form, whichever format you're choosing, is really, really important. So brush up on your English if you want to do more marketing and social media, etc. So I'm a business skills trainer and consultant to employers and their teams, their therapists and front of house, and also to suppliers in sales and marketing. I speak quite often to learners like yourselves about setting up and managing a salon. And I'm a great believer in that you're never too young to learn about business. And this was actually my granddaughter with one of my prospectuses. It's called Passport to Business Success, and I use the passport and the journey to business success analogy quite a lot. I'm a great believer in, and this goes back to the writing as well, it's no good being a great therapist if nobody knows about it. So your ability to promote yourself, to market yourself, to write about yourself, to get yourself out on social media to the right audiences is absolutely key. So again, just bringing you up to date. I'm chair of the National Advisory Committee for Beauty for City and Guilds. And have been for some time. I'm also a regular speaker in the UK and internationally for FHT, the Federation of Holistic Therapists, ITEC, BABTAC, NHF or NHBF as it is now. So still doing a lot of talking. I'm Master of Ceremonies for events, chair of industry events, judge of industry awards. So on the left there, that's me with the microphone in the middle. I was one of the, well, I was the senior judge for the Asian Style Awards, and that was just great. I loved that. And then the other photo is me chair or emceeing, I should say, the Habia conference. I think there's some photos of that coming up. I think that's on another slide. So just continuing down on the right hand side. So I still speak nationally and internationally. I've spoken at the American Electrolysis Association's annual convention 3 times, one in Hawaii, one in San Diego, and one in Rhode Island. And I'm the only non-American ever to have addressed the AEA, American Electrolysis Association. That's something I feel quite proud of. I've also acted as interim MD, managing director, and marketing roles and consultants for supplier companies. The interim MD came about, that role came about when the lady was suddenly taken ill and they needed a safe pair of hands while she was getting through her illness. So there's all sorts of things that are available to you guys. And I continue to support Habia. I have been a lifelong employer champion. I do carry out research. I act as a consultant in that way. And again, the speaking, public speaking is a common theme. There's just some photos of the things that I do. I won't go through them all. This is just to give you a feel. The top left, I'm in the middle with the balding guy. He was the Labour Minister for Education, and I did quite a lot of work with them back in the day on something called the World of Work diplomas, which was the precursor to the highly successful and fabulous technical diplomas, which are now available. So this was the conference I was telling you about. So you can see at the bottom there's probably 500-600 people there. So again, speaking skills really key. And I continue to support colleges. I told you earlier that I sat on a number of college advisory boards, but I continue to support them. I go in, I do talks, I go to events. Middle right of the bottom line, it's me presenting some awards at a college graduation ball, I think that was. I used to do hands-on training for students in their final term. So yeah, and all over the world as well. I mean, just last year I was in Belgium doing some stuff, and that was one weekend, and I came back from there and then flew to Dubai. So it's quite diverse. Being a speaker, I've spoken at numerous events. The middle one that's entitled iTech, that was actually South Africa. I went to South Africa once to do a talk and then was invited back for the following year. Yeah, done numerous things, but I couldn't have done any of it, and I wouldn't have been asked to do any of it if I didn't have the technical knowledge, if I didn't have my beauty therapy knowledge. I'm a great believer, passionate believer in networking. You can network on social media, but when I was your age and a little bit older, it was all face to face. Top left, the blonde lady there is the lady who runs and owns Hairdresser's Journal. The bottom left, that car is not mine, I wish. But these are just a few photos just to show some of the events that I've been involved in, and some of the training that I've done in salons. We talked about colleges earlier, so these are just a few to demonstrate the salons that I go into to update salon owners and their teams. But I also want to talk to you about tenacity. I'm not the sort of person who gives up at the first sign of anything going wrong, and you need to have that. You don't know what life's going to throw at you, so you need to be tenacious. This is me with a broken ankle. This was on the Sunday with a marketing workshop for salon owners in Basingstoke, I think it was, if I remember correctly. It was on a Sunday, and I'd only flown back from France on the Friday, where I'd broken my ankle and had to have an operation. So I had to book a driver to take me down and stay over and take me back the next day. I was not going to let anyone down. And similarly, that was on the Sunday, the marketing workshop. Then a few days after that, I was invited, or I had been invited to speak at the Gino conference at one of the big hotels at the NEC in Birmingham. And I had to be helped up onto the podium there and helped off. Yes, I was in a fair bit of pain because I didn't want to take too many painkillers, because I didn't want to sound all sleepy and doped up. So that's what I mean about being tenacious. So this is the advanced electrolysis book I told you about earlier, which is for level 4 and level 5. And I was involved in editing that. The trainers had all the technical information, but I needed to put it into a format that could be read easily, understood, because it is a textbook. And at level 4 and level 5, it's obviously quite involved. So I'm particularly proud of that. And this is me on the live stage at the Aesthetic Medicine show in, I think this one was in Manchester. So my skills have transferred over to aesthetic medicine, so I am involved quite a lot there. I was also at the House of Lords, that's me at the back, at the launch of the JCCP, the Joint Council of Cosmetic Practitioners, and there was us there representing beauty. Then on the other side of the room there was the medical people. There was a slight bit of them and us, but we did our best to convince them of our worth. In 2017, I was awarded the FHT President's Award for Outstanding Contribution, which I was very proud of. And they kindly wrote a one-page article about me in their magazine. So that was lovely. Again, medical aesthetics. This is me, very animated. This was at the FACE Medical Conference in London, and I had an audience of medics from all over the world, mainly UK, but they were from all over the world. And there I was, trained as a beauty therapist, lecturing to doctors about how to remove and treat blemishes without cutting and stitching. So that was great. This is one of the American events that I spoke at. and again, so proud to be the only Brit to have ever done it and been asked back twice. Yeah, very proud. Oh, I mentioned before about Dubai and UAE. No, that was just outside the Hotel Atlantis, which you've probably heard of. And whilst there, I was training a number of dermatology nurses in blemish removal, etc. So that was fabulous. I really enjoyed that trip. And then this photo was taken in 2017 at an event in Dublin, where I've spoken to or spoken at before, run by the Forest Salon Owners Summit, it's called. And I was the keynote speaker, so gave the first talk. I think it was on team motivation. And then after lunch, I interviewed on stage Mary Portas, who is the Queen of British Retail. I also joined her for lunch, and it was, again, that was an honour to have been invited, not just to be the keynote speaker, but also to come back on the stage and interview somebody as well known as Mary Portas. And after we finished, she actually embraced me and said how great it was. So again, fabulous. So we're coming to the end, if you're not nodded off already. So I am a commercial development and marketing consultant, mentor, author, and speaker. And that's another background of me speaking at an event. But the thing is, I wouldn't have done any of that, any of what I have achieved, without my MVQ level 3 in beauty therapy, plus truly inspirational lecturers and motivational employers. So, you know, I stand on other shoulders. So thank you for your interest. Hope you weren't laughing too much with the passions, and good luck in your career. You have chosen well. It's a great one, and there's more opportunities than you probably thought. So good luck, and I hope our paths cross at some time. Take care.
So I had so many questions for you to start with that I wanted to ask you, but I was absolutely mesmerized. It just, you know, was so fabulous to kind of hear that breadth of the experience that you've had. And of course, I remember you from my very, very early teaching days. What you were saying about the sterx competitions, going to America, I remembered those, and the badges.
Oh yes.
Funnily enough, I mean, the badges were so important, weren't they, back in the day?
Much.
And I've still got mine in a box somewhere. I'm actually, through our industry support next, I'm going to do a competition to see who can actually find the most amount of badges.
Oh, can I join?
You can join.
Can I apply?
Yes, you can apply to win the prize. You probably could. But I've got a couple of questions for you about badges. And I just really wanted to get your take on what you think is possibly the biggest change in attitudes within our industry over your career, from where you started to where you are now. What's attitudes of people in the industry in particular?
You know, that's such a great question, but it's weird because when I first trained back in I think there was only 5 colleges at the time doing beauty therapy training, so nobody knew what it was. Absolutely nobody knew what it was. So I spent quite a lot of time trying to make people aware of what being a health and beauty therapist was, because we were trained as health and beauty therapists rather than just.
In fact, I remember, you know, back when I trained, nearly everybody in our group, and I'm still in contact with everybody I trained with, which is amazing. I brought everybody together about 5 years ago, and it was fabulous. But we all wanted to be physiotherapists.
Yeah. Well, we were taught massage by a physiotherapist.
So were we.
And I was taught A&P by a nursing matron.
And that's how it was in the day, wasn't it? And you were being trained to go and work in health spas and health health
Yeah.
farms, as they were.
Yes, as they were called then. So I think because there was fewer of us, and I think once the word had got out, I think we were taken quite seriously. And then as training became not the 2 years full time, and perhaps some would argue not as stringent, and people called themselves beauty therapists when actually they had only done a small part of the overall qualification. We then started to be tarred with the beautician title, and and I don't want to decry any part of our industry, but somebody just said to me, "Oh yeah, you're all about fake tan and painting nails." And I thought, I have spent 2 years learning the origin and insertion of every muscle of the body, and you know, so it's strange in a way. There's more awareness of what we can do, but has it been watered down somehow out there in the public? It's just such, I don't know how to answer that. It's just so weird. But I wasn't taken seriously at first because it was new. Then I was taken seriously, although I won't mention names, but I was called a troublemaker.
No.
But yes, by the chairman of the leading awarding organisation of the time. It wasn't City and Gills. I was called as a troublemaker because I introduced blend into the UK, and it meant they had to change things on the syllabus. So I was a troublemaker. So proud. And you know, here's me, a beauty therapist, and I've travelled the world and I've done all it. And then we go to the JCCP launch, and we're corralled in a corner because we're beauty, and there's all the medics. So it's just, there's still a lot of work to do. Whether registration will help,
we shall have to see.
That's a very political answer, I know, but
that's fine. I think most people will understand sort of where you're coming from as well. So another thing I just wanted to touch on, and I think this is where we are kindled spirits really, was the need to do it my way.
Yeah.
I think that's one of your very strong points, Gill, that it's not my way or no way, but it's, you are so true to your values as to what is right for you.
Yes.
And leading on for that, I wanted to ask you about your pathway. Has it been a series of goals that you've set, that this is where I want to go, or have you just found yourself, as I have a lot in my careers, just having to being in the right place at the right time? And because you've got that tenacity, the grounding, the great academic side of the qualification, which is what we did in our time, you've been able to elevate yourself through just the fact that you are who you are.
Okay. At the beginning, it was virtually a new industry. So you were falling over opportunities all the time. I mean, I knocked on the door of Ellison's, who I'd brought stuff from. They were my supplier. I knocked on the door of the MD's office and said, "You need me." And they said, "Why?" I said, "Because you're breaking into beauty and you have nobody who knows anything out there."
Yeah.
So the reason for just saying that was the industry was new, it was growing. So was it the right place at the right time? Did I make my own place? And I suppose actually I saw opportunity. I might not have realized I was seeing an opportunity and thought, oh, that matches my skill set, therefore I'll go for that. I think I was probably thinking, this is where I get my stuff from, and there's not enough stuff. There's no what I need. Oh, for goodness sake, come on, they need me.
Yeah.
And you're right, I have always been true to myself. But I never flitted. So I had my salons for 10 years. I was with Ellison's for 10 years. I was with sterx the first time for 5 years. I had my own businesses, the GMT group, GMT Training Education Consultancy. That was another 10 years. I went back to sterx to help them out as commercial director for 5 years. So it's a lot easier to make a difference. It's a lot easier to make change when you're in the system, if you like, rather than banging your head against a brick wall. But I have to say, I had a recent post on LinkedIn and I was amazed by the things that people were saying, and actually it was quite moving. All I've done is what I think is the best I could do in that situation with the knowledge I had at that time. But I've always been, I hope, nice to people, pleasant. I like a joke. You know that, Louise. You don't have to be hard-headed to get what you want or to get what you believe is best for the industry. I think I've gone off the point.
No, and you don't have to put other people down. That's the
Oh, absolutely not. No, everybody's got something to offer. I mean, even my first boss, who, as I said in the presentation, I learned a lot about running a business from her. Not all of it was how to run a good business, but it was brilliant because it saved me making those mistakes.
So what now, Gill?
Oh, well, I'm doing the work with City and Gills, as you know, for the National Advisory Committee chair, and I'm also helping with the T levels. I've got a few companies that have asked me to do some work on a consultancy retainer type basis. I'm always happy to. I mean, one of the comments on LinkedIn was, "Don't give up your public speaking, Gill. You're great." So if anyone wants me to pontificate on a podium anywhere, I'm more than happy to do it. But I need to feel of value. I need to feel I'm doing the right thing. I need to think that I'm doing right by this industry that I love. And a lot of the people in it, like yourself, and so many of the Salon Industry Networking Group. I mean, what a fabulous organization, and I know a lot of them. You know, so we have such great people, and I'm sure with all of this we can only continue just to go up and up and up. Where we will be in 5 years, 10 years time, I can't wait to see.
The only way is up.
Yes. I'm not retiring. I might take it a bit more easy, but I'm not retiring. I might write another book.